Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Infernus, and welcome back to another comic book review. Episode 40. Actually, episode 40 this time. I'm not miscounting. Usually, I'd end these tens with a review of a great movie. Of course, that trend was kind of trampled last time because I couldn't count. But thankfully, we're starting the trend up again with the movie that kicked off my favorite movie franchise, which is the MCU, Iron Man. Now, I remember back when I did my ranking of all the MCU projects that I had seen, that ranking has significantly changed to say the least. I did put this high, but mainly because of its importance. It wasn't because I thought it was a fantastic movie or anything. It was because, oh, yeah, this is the thing that kicked off the franchise, so it deserves to be high. Looking back, I don't think it deserved to be that high for that reason, but given my recent rewatch, I'd say it deserves to be higher for more reasons than just that. First of all, this movie just tells a really good story. This is a story about a man who has everything, realizing that he made a mistake, and doing everything in his power to fix that mistake. Now, when you have a plot like that, it's important to have a character who you can see grow and change. And thankfully, this movie actually has one, that being Tony Stark. Now, at the beginning of the movie, both with the opening scene and the flashback, Tony's written as this likable jerk kind of character. I think we've all seen at least one of these in popular media where it's someone who we can tell they're not the best person, but you can't help but like them. You know, your Daffy Ducks, your Emperor Kuzco's, your Honest John and Gideon's. It's that kind of character. It's like some people could hate them, but you also love to hate them. I would also count Doctor Strange under this category, but at the same time, there are a variety of factors that are keeping me from doing so. But yeah, Tony's kind of just this arrogant jackass at the beginning of the movie. And I mean, you could probably still make the argument that he is still one, but he's a much more humble, arrogant jackass, especially when he realizes that the weapons that he's been selling have been sold to the wrong people, or at least people who are using them for the wrong reasons, for evil intent. So, what does he do? Well, first of all, he gets himself as close to a safe location as he can. Then, not only does he stop the production of those weapons, but he finds a solution to stop any operations involving those weapons from continuing. That being the Iron Man armor. He uses the Iron Man armor to hunt down the people who are using his weapons for awful reasons, and at the very least destroying the weapons. I don't know if he'd go as far as to kill them. Who am I kidding? Of course he would. But the main goal was to stop the weapons, or at least to destroy the weapons. And all along the way, it becomes easier and easier to like him because he's really dedicated to this cause, and you can tell that he knows what he's doing. And not to mention, he's able to win people over pretty quickly. Because, I mean, he is played by Robert Downey Jr., he has that kind of charm and charisma. And I should probably also mention the performances in this movie are great, not just from Robert Downey Jr., but also from Jeff Bridges, from Terrence Howard. I need to look at the Google Slides presentation to read this one. Gwyneth Paltrow. I had to look at the Google Slides thing that I'm using to read that because it's so small in StreamYard. But yeah, there are some great performances here. Even, like, and also the characters as well. The side characters. This has a lot of really fun side characters. I believe I said that about Runaway Season 2, but this one also has some great ones. Of course, you have Rhodey and Pepper, who are like Tony's closest friends, one of them being his assistant, and the other one just being his brother in the army. But also Obadiah Stane. I originally got on this guy's case for being predictable. At least I think that's the reason why I got on his case. But looking back, I'm not sure if you can call a villain predictable when they drop subtle hints around the middle of the movie. And it does make a lot of sense as to why he'd want to, kill Tony, because, which I should preface, this isn't something I agree with, but when you think about what his motives are, like, he knows that the company was built on building and selling weapons. So he sees Tony wanting to, stop that and take the not the country, the company in a different direction. First solution that would come to mind is get Tony Stark out of the picture. And he does become a genuine threat when he makes the Ironmonger armor, which I do have the Lego set of, and it is great. Buy it. Not sponsored. I do also remember thinking that his performance was a bit hammy around that part, or at least not as good as his performance earlier in the movie. But it is still a pretty good performance when you get to that third act. It is a little over the top, but kind of in the sense where you can tell that where Jeff Bridges is having a lot of fun in the role at that part of the movie. Not to mention, there's not a lot of action in this movie, but it is a very exciting action when it happens. Whenever Tony gets into the Iron Man suit, you can tell it's going to be a fun battle. Or even when it's not a battle, like the scene where he's testing out the Mark II for the first time, it's a very exciting scene. Part of that is also the score. The score is really nice. A lot of it is rock, and that was probably the great choice because, well, it is a Metal Man, but also just because something about it just fits. So, is there anything that I would say I don't like about this movie? Because I have been praising it a good amount because it is a great movie. Well, there is one thing. This isn't something that bothers me, but I can see it bothering someone else. This movie is pretty light on action. I know I already said that, but it is something that I can see turning people off because, when people go to see a Marvel movie, they expect some fun action and for there to be a lot of it. This movie doesn't really have that much of it, but I do find that it's worth sitting through some of the more talky dialogue moments to get to the fast-paced, high-energy action moments. Though at least for me, I don't find the talky dialogue moments to be boring at all. In fact, they're actually some of the more interesting parts of the movie, especially with a lot of the character development and even some pretty funny moments with some of the line delivery from RDJ. If I had to name a favorite line, it would probably be when he's getting back from one of his expeditions when he escaped those two raptors, planes, not dinosaurs. Why did I feel the need to specify that? Yeah, he's getting out of his armor, and Pepper walks in on him. He sees her, she's surprised, and normally this would be like a suspenseful moment, like, oh no, she knows now. But he just breaks the tension just the best way by just going, let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing. Which is mainly funny because it's one of those scenarios that makes you think, wait, what else did she see? It makes you question the implications. Now, with all this said, do I think this deserved to be higher or lower? It's definitely higher. I'd say this movie has definitely grown on me since I rewatched it for like the third time. And it definitely deserves to be higher on the list. Not just because it's important, but also because it's just great. It's a great story with memorable characters, some fun action, and some great performances. Normally, I would be annoyed when YouTube puts the score that I give right there in the thumbnail because StreamYard streams are inconsistent with what part of the video they choose as a thumbnail. I'm not even going to be mad here because I think we all knew this was getting a 5. This was the movie that of all the movies that they could have chosen to kick off Phase 1 and just the MCU in general, I honestly don't think they could have chosen a better movie. Now, I do plan on rewatching The Avengers very soon, but I'm not entirely sure if it'll be able to overtake this movie because this was a great start. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for my review on Iron Man. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. I'm not going to bore you with all that generic stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Godspeed.